I know you all have been following the bill, House Bill 184 with the state health plan, and that's one of the things we'll be talking about today. And of course, it is Ask Me Anything, so we'll take any questions that you're interested in. And right now, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Treasurer Folwell.
Thank you for joining us. I don't think I've been late for one of these yet, but the Council of State happens Tuesday mornings at the same time, and we had a fairly long agenda associated with, number one, the Council of State approving $600 million worth of Garvey transportation bonds, which has to come through the Treasurer's office. We had to present those. And then we had the announcement that Labor Commissioner Sheree Berry was not going to be seeking re-election. So that took a lot of warranted time this morning. So with that, we'll just start with questions.
Okay. Well, Dale, this is Jeff with the County Compass. We're looking forward to your visit to New Bern on April 16. We're going to pack that place for you.
Well, thank you. I always look forward to coming to Eastern North Carolina. Thank you for sponsoring it. Sorry the Chamber of Commerce is not on board, but it's important to know that the things we're talking about have everything to do with commerce. You know, Warren Buffett said just 2 weeks ago that any company in the United States that's thinking about expanding or relocating had better look at the unfunded pension and health care liabilities of the community and the state they're going to. So I don't know why anything with the word commerce in their name wouldn't have an interest in what the richest man in the world says. So with that, we look forward to coming, and if facts matter, then your audience is going to leave there very pleased. So thank you.
One other thing, Dale. Is it when you first alerted the media and me to House Bill 184? I thought no one in their right mind would vote for this thing, but I'm wrong. Is it all lobbyists really putting the pressure on legislators?
Well, this is a great question, and it's very easy to explain. What we're doing with the Clear Pricing Project is we're bringing transparency, we're pushing the power out to the consumer, and the result of that is going to be lower health care costs. House Bill 184 is the opposite. It's for less transparency, more control, and higher costs. It's just that simple. And from a physical note standpoint, because when we first started discussing this, we didn't know what the physical note says. I mean, the actuarial note. This is actually a report from the auditors, the actuaries of the state health plan, as well as the General Assembly, who have said the cost of this is going to add over $1 billion to the unfunded liabilities of North Carolina, which I just got through referring to sort of with the Warren Buffett comment. But secondly, every day that bill, if it were to become law, is in effect, it's going to cost $1 million a day for every day it's in effect.
Oh.
So thank you for your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Dan Way at the Carolina Journal.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Dan.
So if this, the state health plan is only 3% funded now, what will it be once you add that $1 billion in unfunded liabilities that the actuarials are talking about? And how long does it take to accumulate that kind of money in the state health plan to offset something like that?
Well, it takes forever. You know, Dan, when I was in the General Assembly, a decade ago, the state health plan was running on 2 and 3 days worth of reserves. What this bill does is it, not only increases the unfunded liability, but increases the operating cost of the plan. As you've correctly pointed out in many articles, the cost of healthcare and pharmaceuticals are going up faster than the amount that's being funded to the plan. So really, going back to the earlier question, either they fund it or they allow us to fix it. That's really just that simple. Either they keep funding it or they allow us to find and fix it. And that's what we're trying to do with the Clear Pricing Project. I will also add to this that if we can start, which we will with Clear Pricing, bending the curve on healthcare, when that curve starts going down, when the actuaries come back in and recalculate our unfunded liability, Dan, that could have a very positive impact on that liability going forward if we're just allowed to do our jobs and fix the plan. Now let me add to that, Dan, and I'd love to give you this quote. I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me. It's in my satchel. The former treasurer of North Carolina, Harlan Bowles, who was considered the best state treasurer of the 20th century in the United States, said the following 40 years ago, that the little understood obligations for health care and pension for public service sector workers in North Carolina will eventually equal, surpass, and dwarf the state debt. He predicted this 40 years ago in a report that I can send to you. As we sit here this morning, the unfunded pension health care liabilities in North Carolina combined are 8 times the state debt. What he predicted 40 years ago has happened. And what Warren Buffett said 2 weeks ago is happening. And that's why we're very serious about figuring out what's right, getting it right, and keeping it right on behalf of the participants of these plans and taxpayers like them.
To what point do folks in the plan, will they have to pick up more of that funding? I mean, I don't know what if the General Assembly is not going to allocate the money, you don't really have any place else to make that, do you? No,
and that's what's so ironic, actually, going back to the first question. All these attacks that are directed toward me and toward the Treasurer's Office and the state health plan, I mean, these legislators, it's important for them to know these attacks are really on them. They're not on us. We're just the operators. They're the people writing the checks. And, I think that will become very apparent that, if we're not successful in increasing transparency, pushing the power out to the consumer, and driving down healthcare costs, they are going to have to write a bigger check, not for a year, not for 2, but for decades to come. And every dollar that's unnecessarily spent on healthcare is a dollar that can never be spent on public education, public safety, public roads, or any other core functions of our state government.
So would you say that lawmakers those who would push for House Bill 184 are being negligent in their obligations?
Well, what I want to say is that we have never had an opportunity, except in a very limited space, to actually present why House Bill 184 is bad for them as the funders of this plan. We had one opportunity in a health committee. We had no opportunity in the health committee this week to speak. Lots of people were there to speak on the value of the virtue of the Clear Pricing Project. I believe there was a couple of opportunities for folks to speak yesterday in the Rules Committee, but now we're hearing it's going to the floor. And as I said, they can either fund it or let us fix it.
Dan, did you have a follow-up question?
No, but
okay. I didn't answer your question, Dan. Ultimately,
well, they were negligent.
No, well, I'm not answering that question, but what I'm
funding. I asked also whether what's going to happen to that. Is that going to obviously that would have to become even less funded, right?
Right, it become less funded, but you also ask how this would impact state employees. 17% of our spend comes from state employees in terms of premiums, deductibles, or copays, 16 to 17%. So, our goal here is basically to make sure that we're not just messing around inside the plan. This has been brewing for a long period of time. We're not trying to get out of it overnight either. Just providing reference-based pricing and giving people the tools they need to make informed decisions about health care is vitally important. But ultimately, if healthcare and prescription drug costs continue on the pace that they're on, and the funding from either the governor's budget or the budget of the General Assembly continues at the pace it's on, eventually all the reserves will be eaten up, the plan will run out of money, and then it'll be a decision by the General Assembly and others about where that money is going to come from. This plan, the clear pricing plan, was unanimously supported by the Board of Trustees of the State Health Plan. That Board of Trustees has appointees on it from the Governor's office, from the Senate, from the House, and from the Treasurer. It was unanimously approved, the resolution to carry this forward.
When was that, Dale?
October of 2018.
Stephanie, have that document?
Yeah, we'll send
Sure.
that to you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
How big a board is that, Dale?
It's 10 with one ex officio of the 10, and then me as chair. And we'll get you the list of the board members.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Other questions?
Okay, any other questions this morning?
Good luck. That's all I got to say. We will do everything we can down here in Eastern North Carolina, and looking forward to seeing Dale on the 16th.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. And we're as chair of the local government commission, which we don't talk about a lot on this program. There's no one in this that has more constitutional and statutory interest and responsibility in making sure that Eastern North Carolina is prosperous than the state treasurer, no matter who that treasurer is. Because we have a lot to do with water and sewer rates. We have a lot to do with issuing of debt. We have a lot to do with the state health plan of healthcare providers. We're probably one of the largest checks that comes into many counties in Eastern North Carolina, but just because of the sheer number of pension and retirees that live in those areas who have served us as public servants. So we have a constitutional and a statutory interest in making sure that Eastern North Carolina has accessibility to the basic things like affordable water and sewer, which comes through the LGC, good public school buildings, accessible, affordable health care, which eventually all ties into whether you have access to capital or not. And if you don't have access to capital, both either on a private basis or through Wall Street, when you don't have access to capital, you're basically finished.
Definitely.
Okay, any other
Keep up the good work, sir.
Thank you. Anything else?
Okay. All right, if there are no other questions, the treasurer will go ahead and wrap up.
We enjoy these sessions. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for joining us, and those that are on the call, and we'll be back on here next month to let you know how things are going. We'll have a lot of news to report by this time next month, and we appreciate your interest. And as I've said many times in public, and I'm not sure I've said this on this call, while we're sitting on this call today, my wife, she's a tour guide at Old Salem, and so when she does things for you, you can see it or you can hear it because she's demonstrating, or she's also a singer and a musician and a painter. And the reason I bring her into this conversation this morning is that when we work on the invisible, AAA bond ratings, unfunded liabilities, OPEB, GASB, life expectancies. These invisible things are not things that people wake up and think about in the mornings. And we can't really demonstrate them like you would as a tour guide. So we appreciate you making the choice this morning and every month to be on these calls because you are an important part of making the invisible visible to people and making them understand that any dollar that's unnecessarily spent at the treasurer's office in any way, shape, or form is a dollar that can never be spent for education, public safety, or public roads.
Okay, thanks
Understood.
everyone. We will see
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff. We will talk to you again in May, and in the meantime, just give me or Frank a call or shoot us an email if you have any questions.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.